Hi, everybody. Welcome to Durham Originals. If you're just joining us, my guest is you, my friend. You are a Durhamer with a vision for Durham region to see Durham not just as it is, but what it can be. Here at Durham Originals, our goal is to feature inspiring stories of Durhamers who are able to impact the lives of people in the Durham region. Today's guest is a father, a husband, and a Durhamer whose life is impacting a lot of people in especially the Oshawa downtown area. He's the developer of the formerly known hotel called Jinash, who from his mouth you would know a lot more about why the hotel makes a lot of sense to Durham. But then that hotel now is now called 70 King. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our first Durham original, Rick Summers. Welcome.
Thank you.
One of the things that we believe in Durham Originals is that if we are not impacted, then we cannot impact another. And even though our goal is to inspire people with our stories, we don't have all the stories. And that is why someone like you is a Durham original. Have your own stories to tell because your story would impact, it would inspire others to become involved in the community. Give us a little window, an insight of how 70 King came to be.
Well, you said it quite well, but I think that, so just about connecting people and resources, I just see, I've always just kind of, since a young age, I've always seen like the big picture. And I've always been able to, I don't know if it's because of my ADHD and not paying attention to what I was supposed to be, but I was kind of always looking around and checking things out in the classroom and in life. And I just always picked up on unique things about people. And I started seeing how everybody has certain skills and gifts. And actually, I believe that everybody's original. So I think that with their originality, I started picking up on these things. And then I had a hard time seeing my own, though. I didn't feel like for many years, I didn't quite see like, what is my skill? I was an athlete, different things like that. But, and I was a good wheeler dealer, negotiator and stuff like that, but I didn't quite see clearly my own skills. But as time went by and I just started seeing how people fit in, I started making connections and seeing how, oh yeah, if, I don't have that skill, but if we put this person, that person together, we could do this. And so that's kind of where it came from. And I just found that, as the years went by, it kind of developed more and more. And then I realized that that was my skill. My skill is not necessarily having a talent. I'm not an engineer, an architect. I'm not handy at all, which I grew up with my mom and two sisters. So a single parent home. So I wasn't handy. I didn't learn any handyman skills, but it's kind of strange that I'm in construction and doing things, especially a project like the former Janasha Hotel, which was essentially boarded up for almost 20 years. So eventually I just basically saw how I could connect people, and because people have resources, whether it's skills, talents, or finances. And so we have investors, shareholders, and all the construction teams and engineers and architects. And so we just connected all the people and helped each person to do their part. And I could see what their part was clearly, and that's kind of what guided us. So I also see how I believe we could do almost anything, like in this, like not just Durham or Oshawa, but also it can expand much further when we could solve most of the world's issues and problems but the hard part is people working together, which is another story.
The history behind it was actually called the eyesore of downtown for so many years because it was this building that had a history where it had all these boards on it. Um, for you to have done that, is it safe for me to take that assumption that that one skill you had is why others were not able to do it? Or what do you think was the reason why you were successful at it and others were not?
Well, I would say yes and no, because there was many better developers or more experienced developers than myself that have attempted to do it as well. But I would say yes because I saw that I saw a unique way of finishing it. I've always had a vision for it for like it's been over a decade, and we had an attempt at it earlier about a decade ago, and but I would have to say just didn't connect enough people and enough resources perhaps at that time to get it done. But yeah, I think that seeing that, like having a vision for it, I don't think I think that was definitely unique because really, but it wasn't just myself. I kind of took what the city needed, what it was looking for. So I looked still at others and their ideas and brought it into that, and it helped develop the vision. It wasn't like I just sat there and came up with this great idea or anything. It's always somehow connected to people. And
So, Rick, one of the few things I took from you was one of your quotes. You said to me, Bukky, schedule your life according to your purpose. You said to me that knowing the purpose of your life is it's like halfway of the journey. The other half is to schedule it so that you can get to that purpose. So I would like you to shed a little more light on that. What do you mean when you say schedule your life according to your purpose?
well, it's just hopefully everybody is living the life that they had hoped for, at least working towards it.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, what I've seen through many people that have worked for us or with us over the years is that people get people get stuck. They maybe get stuck in a job. They buy a house. They get stuck in a so they can't afford to quit or pursue their dream or do something that really stirs their blood.
Mm.
So I just think that it's like human beings we're created with for purpose. We have a purpose and something original to do ourselves.
Mhm.
And I just find that a lot of people don't find it. They've done all kinds of surveys and studies, and unfortunately, many people don't actually end up living life on their own terms. I just think to find your purpose is extremely important. And but the thing is, a lot of people have good ideas. They want to do things like they want to write a book, or they want to do something in charity or start a foundation. But unless you schedule that into your life, it just won't happen because life is it's busy and we all have like things responsibilities and work takes up the majority of our week. So if you don't really pay attention to your schedule, which is the only way anything will ever change, is if you schedule it in.
Now let's talk about examples from your own life that you have used to schedule your own life according to your purpose.
So there's different areas of life. Like to you need to find your a schedule is simply just time, right? So
Okay.
you should really figure out, okay, so what's important? Like what's because your purpose can't it's not just going to be your work life,
Mm.
right? Because most people in the end, they they care about it's their family and their relationships that matter, not I heard a thing, so you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. So you can't take it with you. You just it's really meaningless in the end. So scheduling your life according to your purpose is really about people. So you look at it. So you have different categories. You have work, your family.
Family,
You have that's business, I guess. Business or work,
employees or
family,
employers, yeah.
health.
Health,
Health and
religion, if you have one.
oh, for spiritual, for sure. Yes, there's those four essentially. So when you figure out what the one thing is in each of those areas, so scheduling your life according to your purpose is not just filling your life, you're scheduled a bunch of stuff. It's figuring out what the one thing is in the area of relationships. So with a spouse, maybe it's scheduling a date night because life gets busy and then, with kids and work. And so if you schedule a date night, it sounds kind of, I remember when I first said that to my wife, she was a little offended, but so what do you mean, have to schedule something in? But I just realized that we wouldn't spend the time together because you just get so busy. And the next thing you know, you wake up and it's like a decade later or you come home and the furniture's gone and your wife's gone because you have to schedule things in that are important. So like time with your kids, but so that's for family. And then as far as spiritual goes, I mean, there's obviously a lot of different views on that nowadays. But I am a man of faith. That kind of drives my purpose in everything that I do. I find that there's meaning in this interview and anything. I find meaning in everything, and it fits into my purpose because the goal is to encourage others to do what they're created to do, what they're designed to do as well. So, but again, designing just your schedule again. Like there's like all those different areas. Business, I find business and career is easy. It takes up most of your life, and most people give all their time to that. And it's the other things that suffer: the spiritual, the family, relationships, and your health. So I go to the gym. Like it's a regular thing. So because if you're not fit, if you're not healthy, then you're not going to be fit for your purpose. So you want to be fit for your purpose, and what's the use in fulfilling all your business goals, making a pile of money? Like we already talked about that earlier about celebrities. You get to that point where you think this is going to make me happy and you realize it's empty. And so you're going to find your purpose in those relationships, with God and others. I believe that. So make sure your schedule reflects your purpose and not just your what you think will make you happy.
I now, and I hope everyone else that is listening to this would know that you have a purpose. The first thing is that purpose is what drives you. Purpose is what fills in that vacuum that nothing else seems to be able to fill. Once you know that purpose that you're supposed to achieve on planet Earth, however you want to put it, then you need to now embed that into your life by scheduling it and looking at it. The things you said was health, say it again. Family, health, business, and spiritual, if you have that. And once you know those things, you have to take one of each and say, what do I need to do on each of them? Like Rick said, for his family, he knew that if he doesn't schedule a date night with his wife, then 10 years come, just busy, just say, oh, I love you, I love you. And I think everybody can resonate with that. And so knowing that that part of his life is important too, he's been able to schedule it. And I hope you hear it now. So as we're going down, best idea always wins. I love that. This, I want you to bring us into your business world, because I think a lot of people can benefit from that. The best idea always wins. It's very scary even just thinking about it, because then you go into the definition of idea. What is best? What is not best? So now you're the one who said it. Help us understand it.
So one example I would say of not the best idea not winning would be, perhaps one example would be like Blockbuster. Yeah. So I find in a lot of companies that end up not doing well or going bankrupt. For instance, I like Blockbuster because it's we all know Blockbuster quite well, and so they you have your management, you have a good system, you're making your profits good, and you're like the dominant reigning champion for many years, and then something like Netflix comes along. And they didn't see it, I believe, because of not having that philosophy that the best idea wins. And basically what that is, it's really simple, and we all actually, when we hear it, think, well, it's great. But in most companies, I find, like I've seen throughout the years, is that the best idea doesn't win because you have your management, you have your frontline staff and people, and there seems to be a real disconnect there. And it's just common. I've seen it my whole life in the school system. I've seen it in government. I've seen it, that's why we have all these different parties, political parties where, I mean, if you have for me, if I were ever prime minister, I'd probably be prime minister if I had no scandals for years, because I would take the best ideas from the Green Party. I take the best ideas from the NDP. I take the best ideas from the conservatives and the liberals,
The Tea
and
Party.
and a lot of times you don't see a lot of great ideas from a lot of them. So obviously, the best idea wins. It'd be a whole nother thing to explain the depths of it, but essentially all it is just that you tap into the resource of people and people. So the people that are in your group, or you can go outside to outside consultants. It's just seeing things through other people's eyes, not just looking at it through your own. Like whether you're designing a building, so even for designing, like I'm not a designer, but I love design. And if you've seen our stuff, it's because we really we have designers, but we try and hear from everybody to really figure out what the end user wants, and to have the best product, the best service, or to be the best at anything in life. If you adapt that philosophy, the best idea wins, and you tap into all the resources around you, then you'll create something very original. By the way, very, very unique. That's what happens. But if you're always open, you're always listening to what people have to say, then you'll pick up on these things. But if you're kind of self-absorbed and just thinking of yourself, your own interests and what you're trying to do, and you're the boss and you'll decide, then you miss those things. So you miss out on the best. Yeah.
I think you've explained it well. So now the secret to life is love. Who do you love?
Well, I love people, I guess you could say. First of all, love is very misused. And
Misused.
It's like, people think of soap operas, they think of love, they think of Hollywood love. I think of what my mom told me when I was younger too about love. She said, "Oh, if you love the girl, then it's okay to hang out with her and whatever." I believe love is seeking the interest of others. Love is not self-seeking. So, and love is long suffering. A lot of weddings, they'll read the whole list of what real love is, and it's unconditional. It's not based on what I can get from you or what you can give to me. It's based on, and I believe that. So that's where I kind of came up with the secret. It's not really a secret, but it is, I guess, because like the best idea, it just doesn't seem to be in that place of management or leadership a lot of times. So secret to life is love. So I feel like I cracked the code with that, and the life code. We've raised our children with that, and even with a spouse, said, you know what? Just you're trying to find a good spouse or a good partner, just find someone who's not selfish. And we're all selfish, obviously, to a certain extent, and we all seek our own interests. We all want to look good. We want to feel good. We want to, do well. So I just think that's natural. So I just think that people naturally look after their own families. They naturally look after themselves. But really, all the problems in the world are because people don't go out, a lot of times go outside of building their own family, their own domain, their own house, their own kids' education. And you should. The world's made up of families, so it is good to have that. But I feel to solve, I think that poverty, hunger, world hunger, it's ridiculous, with all the excess of everything. So seeking other people's interests. And I find that when you do that in business, or you do that with your family, it applies to everything. And I find that if you learn to seek other people's interests truly, then everything else that everybody else is chasing after and worried about and fearful and hope to get, and these things are just, you have them in abundance, and then it just kind of keeps going. You just keep giving. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. And I didn't understand that for a long time, because when I was young, it was all about those gifts at Christmas. I loved getting. I was a professional at getting things, even as a teenager, a young adult. And then so when I kind of shifted everything and learned what it really is about, I realized it is more blessed to give. And when you're seeking other people's interests, you can see them become what they're supposed to be. There's nothing like it, actually. It's the most exciting thing to see. So I've said investing, because we go outside of the secret to life is love. So we go outside of seeking our own interests. We seek other developers, builders, but mostly the community.
For the
So
community.
yes, we work with the charities, and we have some things we're working on right now for, to help, like, not just build beautiful luxury apartments or affordable housing. We want to help with like the homelessness and different things. So
Okay. I know we're getting there now, but I want you to talk a little bit about 70 King, just to wrap that up. So 70 King has how many apartments?
so it has 86 apartments.
Okay.
They're basically studio apartments
Okay.
and self-contained studio bachelor apartments and one bedrooms. And this is our phase one. So we decided to. It's just simply business. The numbers seem to work better on having more units,
Okay.
and there seems to be more of a demand for one bedrooms and bachelors, and less competition on those. A lot of new developers or builders, so new buildings are two bedrooms, two bedroom plus a den, and so we just kind of focused on the single.
So if I wanted to rent the space now, where do I go?
Well, we have a website, 70king.ca,
Okay.
and you might want to hurry though, because we're actually over 80% full now. So we're
Wow.
80% occupied, and the city. I don't know if you know much about the downtown, but the city just finished doing brand new streetscape, extending the sidewalks out front of our building along Mary and King. So now we're seeking out to close down some higher level upscale commercial tenants. So we just started that. We
Oh,
have.
so what I'm hearing now is that there's the residential tenants up, and at the bottom you have the commercial tenants.
Commercial, yes.
Ah, that is almost like the way it is in Toronto now, in the downtown Toronto. That's
Yeah.
good.
So it's. I mean, so originally the Janosh, just to give a little quick little. It was built in 1929.
Mhm.
It has a real rich history. It's a designated heritage building. They designated it back in several years ago now. But so, which means we have to maintain the look of the facade, the exterior,
Mhm.
but the interior,
You can do
yeah,
anything with
it was in disrepair. We completely redid the interior, and I know you've seen it. So it's
It's
more
beautiful.
more modern. It's more modern, but it's warm, and it's kind of where
It's very comfortable
old meets
too.
new.
Yes.
And so we tried to. We have a winding staircase as a feature in the lobby, which was like 90 years old, and like originally they had a men and women's lounge in the basement separate, and yeah, that's things have changed a little bit. And then the main floor had like restaurants and stuff like that. And then as the years went by, I think it was when the 401 shifted, when it came in the 60s, late 50s, it kind of pushed all the stuff from downtown, like hotels and the development, closer to the 401. So with this came, it just constantly went down from there.
I know that the history of Jinash has things about the Queen of England being there before, James Bond, the spy. Jinash has a lot of
Yeah, so a lot of
history
so it was. I mean, it was high end hotel, and
in those days.
yeah, very much so. Yeah, so we heard that the Queen stayed, that the Queen's mother.
The Queen's
Yeah,
mother.
during the war, I know Queen Elizabeth was in the area in Oshawa with King George at the time, promoting and trying to get people involved in the war. Not everybody was involved in the war yet, and a headquarters for, it's called Camp X. It's very well documented. They trained spies for World War II, and Ian Fleming, who's the author of the James Bond series, all the
movie, yeah.
movies. So he frequented the Janosh because they were right in that area, and it was like probably the only thing around, but also the nicest. So I know that there's a lot of even on their Camp X website, there's a lot of documentation about the history, and then also with a lot of famous bands who became famous, like Rush, they played there as well before they became famous, like Burton Cummings, Rush, Paul Schaefer from the David Letterman
Wow.
show, and like Boston. Anyway.
So you've really opened our eyes to the history of Oshawa and Durham region, and just going forward, what do you give back to the region? I know you have a foundation coming up, but just, in your own words, tell us more about your involvement in the Durham region.
So, so not to share too much right this moment, but we do have, we are working on some foundation work where it'll basically create a holistic vision for Oshawa, who most people know what's happened with Oshawa with General Motors. They've been scaling back for years, but they recently basically they got rid of the rest of the employees. There's very minimal people left. So it's kind of it's very psychologically like damaging and worrying the city and the region. So it's very so our goal, and it came before the whole General Motors thing as well. We've been working on it for quite a few years. So we want to create like a holistic vision, like for the economic, the social, the environment, the built environment, for Oshawa and the Durham region, that will make life better for, and it'll be a holistic vision where the best idea wins, where we have like a visioning session, which will connect all the different stakeholders of the city and the region, and they get a chance to share
what they think.
Yeah, we do like roundtable discussions, and it'll create like a holistic vision that comes from the people, which will, again, as we talked, and it's quite easy to do. People just have to just connect them, and once we create this holistic vision, so we want to give back that way in a big way, and starting with Oshawa and Durham.
Okay. So it's good to have you here. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much.
Very much. Okay, so thank you, everyone that has been our guest today. I hope you've also taken your own nuggets out of this as much as I have. Every time I have the opportunity to spend time with Rick Summers, I always have one or two, three things to take. And today now I've been taking notes on what next to do. I can tell you now that as opposed to just me looking at things from my own point of view, it would be wise to, get other ideas and take that ideas together so that the best idea can always win. Connect people, find my skill, connect people, connect their resources so that we can achieve great things. And remember that scheduling your life according to your purpose is what really truly fulfills you and gives you a definition as you go along. You can join the conversation on our blog. It's called durhamoriginals.ca, where a lot more about Rick's bio is there. All this quotes is explained in bigger details there. And you can send us a note. You can, suggest other originals that you believe they have impacts in Durham. Their stories would inspire another person, and they are involved in Durham. Till next time, this is your girl, Bukky Ojo. It's been a wonderful time.